or around the holiday season, it does seem like the stress level does go up. Why do you think that is? People, I think you mentioned the stress of people putting it on themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing is realizing that most of that stress is self-imposed. What families do is they look at, all the expectations of them to be a perfect parent, to get the right gift, to spend enough money, to make sure you attend every function and go to everything and put on that face. And that pressure is really put on by the individual themselves usually. And if they can reduce the number of commitments or focus on the ones that are most important, it'll be a lot less stressful.
And in terms of trying to figure that out, that's not an easy process because you're traveling a lot. You mentioned that, and going to different functions. How do you manage it?
Well, a lot of it is planning ahead and saying, okay, we have these things that need to get done. What are the most important? Okay, your holiday concert, that's number one. So let's put that at the top of the list. What do we need to do to make that happen? What do we need to move around? What can we give up in order to do that? If we plan ahead for a lot of things, travel, it really makes a big difference. What kind of books do you have in the car? What kinds of stops do you have along the way? What time do you leave? All those things can make a big difference in the overall level of stress.
You're saying you literally should make a list?
Yeah.
Help yourself see something?
Absolutely. When you sit down, especially with your children, because if you make the list and don't involve them, they may have an entirely different set of priorities. No. It was really important to me that we decorate the tree on Thanksgiving. It's really important to me that we go here. And so if you have that discussion, it makes it a lot easier because then you can negotiate their priorities with your priorities, with the expectations of other family members. You can factor in things that maybe they can't factor in, like distance or other things that are a little bit more complicated.
What about the expectations of children and presents, and they want so much? Families that are under pressure, economic times are tough. How do you handle that?
Well, gifts and presents don't equal love. That's not the point of the season. The goal is to make sure that you're spending time together and that you're thoughtful and that you're sharing these opportunities together. So a thoughtful gift is much more important than an expensive gift. When they see that you put in the time, when they see that you listen to them, when they see that you've either made it or tailored it or done something that really shows that you know what they like and what's important to them, that makes a big difference.
Do you have an example of something like that comes to mind?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I think the biggest thing is kids often want electronics, they want things, and so tailoring some of the things that you have, maybe setting up some rules so they have access to those things, maybe adding another game instead of another gaming system, maybe coming up with ways that you can get gifts or presents that are for a group. So, let's say when you're giving a gift to a relative or family member, instead of buying individual gifts, maybe you buy board games so that they can all enjoy them. Maybe you do a family fun night where you can come up with presents and ideas that are things that they can share together. A snow cone maker. We were given a snow cone maker once, and I know it's not necessarily good for winter, but it was really a lot of fun, and kids are the hit of the neighborhood if they have a snow cone maker. So there's a lot of things that you can do that are great gifts for the family that they can all enjoy that actually does cut down on the cost of buying each and every person individually.
What about, a lot of people have mentioned to me the stress of in-laws and family friction.
Right.
How are you supposed to kind of handle that? Do you just stay quiet? Do you initiate conversations when there's tension in the room?
Well, I think we all know that there's hot topics. There's certain buttons that you can push about, a certain uncle or aunt or relative or a problem or a thing that is going to cause a conflict. I wouldn't intentionally stir up conflict over the holidays. I think that the goal isn't to necessarily avoid all conflict, pretend that there aren't any problems, to be fake. I mean, we want to be real with people. We want to interact, but we don't necessarily want to create drama. We don't want to fuel drama. The drama exists anyway. There's going to be stress. There's going to be drama. Togetherness is great. Sometimes too much togetherness breeds a little bit of tension, and people say things they shouldn't, especially at certain events. So we want to make sure that we're not fueling the flames of drama, and instead trying to pick topics that are less stressful.
And some people worry about it as a whole. How am I going to get this done? I've got this Christmas party. I've got cookies. I got to shop. There's 14 more days left. And prioritizing, figuring it all out.
Again, planning.
Overwhelming for
Right.
some people.
Again, planning becomes the thing. So what can I do if I need to bring a food item for a certain number of events? How can I bring the same item, or how can I prepare them and have it pre-prepared so I can then just bake them for the next thing? How can I make them a little bit different so that they have that personal flair for that particular activity has that personal touch, but it's something where I'm using the same ingredients. Maybe I can buy in bulk and go to a warehouse club or something and get a larger volume and then spread it up. Sometimes, we're in Akron, so there's those killer brownies, and, people who take those, cut them up, put them in little trays. You can take something that would be very expensive and make it fun and festive and creative. And the way you present things can often make it a lot more fun than the actual thing itself.
Do you hear a lot of your patients, although a lot of them are kids, but the parents just say in general, how are you? And you say, well, I'm stressed. Do you hear a lot of that this time of year? And what do they seem most stressed about?
Well, I think the stressors are the same things that everyone experiences. Finances, how am I going to meet all of my obligations and add all these other things? There's things that we don't necessarily think about. Fuel cost, for example. There's a lot of things that people don't really necessarily factor in to the budgets and planning and whatnot. And a lot of those things don't really have to be that expensive. You can have a lot of fun holiday nights. Driving around and looking at lights is minimal cost compared to, going somewhere and having to pay, for movies or for, gifts or admissions or presents or things like that. So there's a lot of ways to do ice skating. There's a lot of free ice skating opportunities and things that are great memories. Can be painful, but can be very fun as well, that families can have together, that they can remember. Even watching the Christmas classics on TV, some of the Burl Ives songs comes on, and it brings a memory for a parent. But that's something that can be really memorable for a child, to just sit and watch that and talk about stories of the first time that you saw that or heard that or experienced that. And so you're creating that connection and doing something that really doesn't cost anything. There's a lot of holiday events that have a huge buildup, that are very big and very exciting, and then there's sort of this letdown or this hangover afterwards, where you're dealing with all this preparation and time that you put into it, and then afterwards. So you want to build that time in. You want to build in the time to enjoy the presents or to talk or to clean up or do whatever. If you jump from one activity to the next, you don't really get that breather. You don't really get that stress relief. If you realize that it's going to take time and energy, then that can help reduce your stress a lot.
You're talking about the individual things that you're going to one at a time, taking time after those, not
right.
when it's all over.
Yeah, right. So not just saving it up, but instead going, okay, we had a big holiday party, or we went to see Aunt so-and-so, or we went to the holiday extravaganza at your school. And after that, giving yourself a little bit of time and breather instead of trying to pack everything in. It's okay. It's okay to take a little bit of time. It's okay to kind of shut the world out for a little while and just enjoy your family. And it's okay to say no. You don't have to go to every single activity that presents itself. Some people feel that pressure. To be a good parent, to be the perfect parent, I have to attend absolutely everything that is available. And that's just not the case. It's really about quality over quantity.
And apps, did you say?
Yeah, there's a lot of great things when you travel, especially that can help reduce stress, whether it's, fun holiday apps. There's ones that have Christmas carols built in. There's ones that tell you when the exits are, so you know what food is available or restrooms at each one, the order to light a candle on a menorah. There's a lot of different things that you can find in technology. So instead of using it as something that you wish they did less of, you could actually use it to enhance the holiday experience.
Do you know any of those are?
Not by name, but
Okay.
there's a ton of them. I've had kids showing me ones where you decorate trees. There's ones where, there's a lot of those cake decorating ones where now they're about making Christmas cookies and different things like that. So there's a bazillion of them.